Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away.
Hey everyone, listen, this video has to do with Southwest Airlines and their response to a person that was fired over an issue that their union, the Southwest Airlines Union, brought to the company about a person that disagreed with the speaker they brought in about pro-abortion. And whatever your view on that is, this woman actually took them to court because she was fired for essentially really expressing her opinion and her disgust with the speaker they brought in. And the union brought this to attention to Southwest Airlines, and Southwest Airlines had fired this woman because of her view, and she was pro-life. And it doesn't matter the way you feel about it, whatever. The issue has to do with your free speech rights. Now, under the Constitution, obviously, we're protected from this type of thing. But Southwest made a huge mistake. They're going to pay for it with $4 million and some odd dollars. The union has to kick in another $960,000 to this woman. Southwest will appeal this verdict. Obviously they do. They drag this thing out for months or years, and eventually they do lose, because there's no way on God's green earth that this woman is not going to receive her money. And whether she gets the whole 5.1 million is yet to be determined. Obviously she's going to have to pay some attorney fees, and she should be set for the rest of her life, because idiots have their opinion and decide that they take matters in their own hands. Everyone has the right to their opinion, correct? And if that opinion crosses someone who doesn't have the same opinion, do you either start a fight, or do you argue your point? Do you walk away, or do you gossip about them and post what happened to a social media site? So my outlook on this is, let's say that you have a certain belief system. Say you're trying to sell something that you believe in, whether it's a religious belief, whether it's a product, whether it's a point of view, and you go to work every day, and the people that work around you have to listen to it day in and day out, and it doesn't cross company policy. Some companies, they actually say that you can't sell products on their site. I know of a utility company that a gentleman had a large farm, and he had picked a bunch of watermelons and put them in the back of his truck, and he was going to take them to the market place to sell them after work. And what had happened was, he pulled into the parking lot, and a couple guys asked him, "Hey man, you selling them watermelons?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So a few days later, he got called down to HR to ask him, "Did you sell watermelons on company property?" And he said, "Yes, I did. In fact, I have a large farm. I picked them, I piled them in my truck, and I was intent to take them to the market, which I did after work. And a couple guys seen them, and he asked me what I was doing with them, and I told them that I was taking them to the market. And they asked me, can we buy a couple? And I sold it to them." And she said, "That's against company policy, and we don't deter. We don't make any, accepted, for some person other than others. So the policy is straight across the board, and that's against company policy, and you're fired." So whether it's a belief system, whether you're selling a product, whether you're telling somebody, listen, it's annoying because some people want to sell whatever product they got. They bring it into work, and every day you got to listen to them. Hey, man, you want to buy one of these? Hey, man, you want to buy? Or if it's some kind of rhetoric, if they hate a certain culture, you have to listen to it every day. It doesn't really cross company policy. Now, if they were committing a crime, then that would, obviously, if they were convicted, the company would fire them, right? But if it's a belief and it's not against the law and you're not pushing it on anybody, say that you're doing something, you're selling something, or you have a belief system and you take it off site and on your own private time, I would think that was fine for me. And if you presented, let's say you were at a water cooler, or you were at lunchtime and people were talking about a certain topic and you presented your point of view or whatever, or every once in a while someone asked you about what you were selling or a point of view, that's fine. But to push it on somebody, no matter what it is, I don't think, it's very uncomfortable, and eventually it gets old, okay? And to the point where people would just either run from you or push you away or complain to authorities, correct? Or in that facility. It's a private company, whatever. But to fire somebody over their beliefs, over let's say that if for this instance, that this person was fired because they were pro-life, has nothing to do with their workability, their pushing their point of view, whatever the case may be. If they want to go out and protest on their off time or drive with bumper stickers to work, it doesn't give anyone the right to fire them because they don't have the same belief system. It's just not the way. I mean, you could do that in a communist country. You can do that into a dictatorship, but you can't do it here. Okay. And it's not allowed. It's against free speech. It's an opinion that person holds dearly. And I just think there's no place for it in any kind of situation, any kind. So whether you're anti-abortion, pro-life, or you're pro-abortion, whatever the case may be, if you're religious in a certain point, if you're Christian or whatever, it doesn't give a right for someone to say, "Hey, I don't agree with that, so I'm firing you." That's one person's point of view. Now, if it was a company policy, say, "Listen, we're here, we do this, and if you speak out against this, if you go home and you speak out against it, then you're fired." Okay, so then you don't work there, right? Whether you're working for a vegan company and you come in with a hamburger, and the company policy is we don't allow meat on the site, and then you'll be fired. Yeah, I can understand that as long as it's in the company policy. Now, I think it's when it gets into a religious belief, then there's free speech rights that you can carry wherever you go. That's just the way we live. That's the way our Constitution's written. That's the way the amendments are written. And you can't fire somebody because of religious beliefs. Now, we got all into this with these vaccinations. If you believe that putting something in your body is against what you believe, then that's your religious belief. Now, to go after Amish people and say your kids have to be vaccinated, you can't, you got to go to a public school, or we have to see what your schooling is, or what curriculum. No, that's something separate. Now, why they have a whole community where they interact with one another, and they don't interact with the common American people. But for the government to come in and say, yeah, we have to vax everybody here, and you got to wear a mask wherever, they don't do that. They don't comply with that, and I don't think anybody else should either. If you don't want to wear a mask, if you want to say this at work. Now, if the work policy says you have to wear a mask, you can either take it or leave it, right? So that's on you. But to say if it's a religious belief is against the Constitution, as simple as that. And this court ruled that it was against that person's religious belief. They should not have been fired. And it's simple as that. There's no gray lines. It's black or white. You can't touch anybody's religious belief. Okay, whether I agree with it or not, another religion, the same thing. We're protected under the Constitution, and you can't just go stomping people's right to whatever they believe in. If someone has a right and it's a religious thing to worship dogs, and you bring a dog to work on a collar, and that person doesn't like it, it's protected. I mean, simple as that. Whether you agree with it, whether you seem like it's nonsense. Hey, there's some parts in the world that they worship cows, and they don't eat cows. They don't eat meat of that sort, and it's against their religious belief. Now, if they brought that over here and somebody was trying to feed them beef at work and whatever, and they say, "No, we don't want that," then they can't fire them over it. I mean, it's so cut and dry. It's almost funny to say anything other than that. So, if you guys would, I appreciate you, hitting me up on the like button. If there's a like button, wherever you're listening to me at, whatever site you're on, whatever social media you're grabbing me from, whether it's YouTube, hit the bell, subscribe. That way you're notified as soon as all these videos I'm making come out. You can share them with your friends, your family, whoever you come in contact with. You can post them on your social sites. I'd appreciate that. It helps my ego. Plus, it works with the algorithms, gets my video out to more people. And share this, like this, comment on this, whatever you got to do. I appreciate it. It does wonders for me, and I assume that you will, because hey, I would do it for you too. You guys have a wonderful day. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.
I'm on the run, I've got no alibi for what I've done. Took what you treasure and I'm never